listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Welcome to Grave Discussions. I am your host, Barnabas.
And I am your co-host, Samael. Welcome to episode 56. Sometimes dead isn't better.
That's right. We're going to be talking about Pet Sematary today, the new remake, and that's coming up in our main segment. First, we do want to give a quick shout out to Sports Radio Detroit, our gracious hosts.
And you can find them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's SRD, Sports Radio Detroit. We are not Detroit Sports Radio. Have to make that distinction week after week.
Yep. And you can also check out the website as well, sportsradiodetroit.com. So go check us out. We have a lot of other great shows as well. So let's jump right into the horror news, guys. It's been a busy week for horror, as usual. And there's actually been quite a bit of news, and a lot of it is concerning kind of older properties.
Ooh.
So the first is about Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice.
Yeah, if you say his name 3 times, Michael Keaton pops out.
I can see it right there. It's at the top of the second row.
Yeah. So they were talking about doing a Beetlejuice sequel for a while now. And it has officially been announced that the sequel is shelved and that Tim Burton actually doubts that it's ever going to happen.
That's stupid.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. That's a movie that definitely didn't need a sequel at all. I felt like it was a pretty complete story.
Yeah, I just wish I saw more of Beetlejuice. But then we have the cartoon and, all that shit. So it's kind of unnecessary.
Yeah, I think so too, honestly. They were even talking about doing like Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian or some bullshit like that.
Shark jumping, great.
Yeah. I think it was pitched because it was such a stupid idea that they would never have made it.
Yeah.
Or something like that. That's what I read.
How about Beetlejuice fights a surfer
in Alaska? Like, just stupid fucking shit.
Well, I'm glad we're not getting that movie. Honestly, I don't know. I love the first movie. I'm not super upset if there's never a sequel, but if you were expecting it, I don't know if or when it's even going to happen. So, yeah. Next up, another popular property. You guys probably have heard about this one already. Poltergeist getting remade again.
It's funny how they say again because the remake was absolutely nothing like the original.
Yeah, and it was literally 4 years ago.
They could have just named it like Spooky Ghost Haunted House, and you'd be like, whoa, yeah, that seems fitting.
Yeah. I've never actually even seen it, like all the way through.
No,
just
it's
because...
pretty good, but it's literally, people say it's bad. Of course, if you watch that and the original, they're nothing alike. It's just like Black Christmas, nothing alike. But other than the CGI, it was pretty enjoyable. Not really scary, but it was more like a drama.
Yeah, I mean, the original story itself is interesting, so I feel like you can't fuck that up too much. But the original was so good just because, it was very iconic in its time. Just doing all the effects that they did, the chemistry between all the cast members and everything. It was a fantastic movie. It gave me nightmares when I was a kid, so it kind of has a special place in my heart. That's why I didn't really care about seeing the remake. But yeah, it's kind of troubling that they're releasing another remake so soon after the first one.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Maybe because the remake wasn't really a remake, I guess. If they make this one and it stays true to the original, like literally, I don't care if they don't change anything. Just make it modern. You know what I mean? Take the movie and modernize it. You can make it exactly the same. I'll still enjoy it. But for me, having a movie like be super modern is like really important. Which is why, we're talking about Pet Sematary today as well.
Exactly. So the last thing I'll say about Poltergeist is that some people kind of still have hopes for it because Joe and Anthony Russo, who are best known as directing 4 of the last few Marvel movies, specifically Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Civil War, and then 2 of the Avengers movies. Actually, Endgame, which is coming out very soon. So those movies are actually really good. So people kind of have hopes for the Poltergeist remake. I just think it's totally unnecessary. You know, if this was like the first remake they'd be doing, all right, but I don't know. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's like it's like if they tried to remake Woman in Black.
Yeah, that's kind of, yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Let's move on now to this last bit of news. Robert Englund is coming back, but not exactly as Freddy. He's actually going to be the host of a new Travel Channel show called Shadows of History.
I'm glad we get to see Robert Englund on the screen again. Because even if he's not Freddy, like you said, still want to see him, you know?
Yeah.
All of our horror heroes and legendary directors are getting very old now, and anything can happen, bro. People get health problems in their 50s, like serious health problems, so hopefully nothing happens to Robert Englund because that man is a national treasure.
Yeah, he's 71 now. So, I mean, he's still holding up, you know, he looks good.
Him and Nick Castle are around the same age, the original Michael.
Yeah, so, I mean, he's going to be doing this show where it's basically a reality show, but it sounds really cool. I'm into these kind of shows. He's basically going to be going around the country and investigating these, like, weird and, you know, bizarre, spooky occurrences. And most of them are based out of stories that came out in newspapers.
Oh, shit.
So it's a pretty interesting concept, and I feel like he's the perfect guy to go and explore and investigate all these weird things. So, yeah, I'm into it.
I'm into it.
There's not much more information, unfortunately, at this time, but we'll let you guys know if there's a date or something. So we've got a few trailer announcements, and then we'll move right into the show. So the first one is kind of cool. There's a new Addams Family movie coming out.
But it's animated.
Correct, yeah. So if any of you are unaware, the Addams Family really originated as comic strips. So it makes complete sense that there'd be an animated movie. There were actually 2 animated Addams Family series. So, I don't know. It's not a new medium for this. It looks pretty cool, though, honestly. You know, some of the animation looks meh. But,
you know, people complain about remakes and, like, reimaginings and, like, them just redoing old stuff. But, you know, the stuff that made your childhood great, how are your kids going to be able to, like, enjoy that if, like... Look, let's be real. You're not going to put on a fucking movie from the 1980s and scare like a 10-year-old. It's just not going to happen.
yeah.
Like we're
I guess
especially
it depends on the movie, but
well, maybe Evil Dead,
yeah.
but you know, there's not much room for just fucking fuck all remakes and reimaginings. Let's just put in these movies that are 50 years old and most of them haven't withstood the test of time. Like
Yeah. Well, the characters in this new adaptation of the Addams Family actually look pretty cool. They are based on the original comic strips, which is nice. So, I mean, nobody can really say that the design is poor or anything. The voice acting is, for the most part, pretty good. Charlize Theron plays the new Morticia Addams. I'm not that big of a fan of that, but Oscar Isaac is voicing Gomez, and he sounds like spot on.
and then Chloe Grace Moretz is Wednesday.
I love her. Yeah. No, I mean, most of the rest of the voice acting sounds pretty good. The trailer doesn't really give away a lot of the plot, which is good. So yeah, I'm kind of excited to see this one.
Oh yeah.
Next up, we've got a foreign horror movie about yet another kind of urban legend or myth, and this one's called Achura.
Yeah, and I checked. That's Achoura, and it's not on YouTube. You got to go on Bloody Disgusting to check this trailer out. But it looks pretty badass.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I mean, there's some obvious CGI kind of.
Yeah, when he was like materializing behind that guy.
Yeah, but I mean, the entity looks pretty cool. It's based off of some kind of religious, I don't know, like folk kind of tale or something like that. And it doesn't really give away a whole lot, but for some reason it's going after these like kids. And yeah, I think the entity looks pretty cool. And it's releasing April 12th at the Brussels International Fantastic Film Festival.
They always have some interesting shit getting released there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it, honestly. The last trailer is a new monster movie, and this one's going to be creepy crawly. It's called Itsy Bitsy. Now, there's no release date for this yet, as far as I could tell, but it looks to be a new creature feature movie about, you guessed it, giant spiders.
What?
And specifically, they're going to be in this one like household. So it's taking the, I guess, kind of isolated, haunted house kind of thing, and putting big spiders into it. So I don't know. I don't like spiders that much.
No, I fucking hate spiders.
So I might not even watch this one because I'd be like, oh shit.
I hate spiders, snakes, any creepy crawly.
Yeah. Even if it's not like scary, it just makes my, like.
I hate possums.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, possums.
Itsy Bitsy looks kind of cool. It actually might have a decent twist to it because in the trailer you'll see there's a little bit of exposition about some kind of entity or like this legend. So it seems pretty cool. I'm interested to see like where they go with that specifically. So that's it for the trailers.
Speaking of giant spiders.
Oh yeah, we're gonna bring something crazy up, guys, in this next segment where we delve into a cult classic horror film, and that is in The Cult Corner. And in this week's Cult Corner, you had to do it because it's been a while.
Yeah, it has. I've been waiting. For that moment.
This movie is full of great, creepy, spooky monsters, and it is 1986's Spookies.
And I know what you're thinking. Why this? What the fuck is Spookies? Well, I one time I ordered this movie off eBay called Body Count. And when I got it, on the back it said, creaturefeaturevideos.com. I was like, okay, I'll check it out. I went on there and I saw this movie Spookies from like the 1980s. I was like, this looks like it could be dope. I ordered that. We decided last week, it was me and Barnabas and good old Joe.
Yep.
Silent Joe. We're like, let's pop in Spookies. Let's see what it's about. And right off the bat, I was like, wow, this is the greatest movie I've ever seen. Like, it starts off with this kid, right? He ran away from home and he's walking through like the woods, or he's just walking somewhere. It's like a heavily grassy, tree filled area. All right. It's probably not the woods, but it has that same dark 80s atmosphere like in Zero Boys and all these other like blue lighting takes place overnight and it's dark as fuck type movies. And like you see a creature like or a couple creatures, you think, just like hiding in like the bushes, and like you kind of see fangs and scary looking eyes, and then some douchebag comes up to the kid and he's like, it's not safe to be running away from home. He wasn't Sean Connery, but I'm just mocking the guy. And then the kid starts walking, he gets chased by like a werewolf cat man, and he gets buried alive in like one of the most intense scenes of the whole movie.
It was like the first, I don't know, like 10 minutes or something.
Yeah, we see a kid get buried alive.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And then, after that happens, and you're like, okay, holy shit, this movie doesn't care at all.
No.
A group of, like, party goers rolls up to this random house, which is, I believe, they show that it's the house that the kid ran away from. Is that right? Or do they not show that? I forget.
No, they didn't show that.
Okay.
The kid ran away to the house, but then in the house it had, like, birthday decorations and stuff. Like,
okay, yeah.
It's fucking weird.
Well, there's actually a good reason behind all of that, but the people then show up to the house, and when they get into the house, they encounter all of these random weird ass creatures, and of course they like can't escape the house. And then we learn that there's this warlock up somewhere in the house in some room. They never show like how they get there or anything,
and they never really hinted he was even in the same house until a certain point in time.
So before we get any further, let me explain why. I don't know if you know this, but I read up on this movie a little bit, and we didn't know this going into it, but this movie really is kind of two separate movies.
Is it?
Okay, yeah, kind of, because the production of this movie was apparently plagued by some like reshoots and stuff like that. So it was originally called Twisted Souls.
Oh shit.
Directed by Thomas Doran and Brendan Faulkner, and then written and produced with I think one other guy. But they made this movie called Twisted Souls, and Twisted Souls is essentially all of the scenes in Spookies that have that like group of people, the partygoers, inside the house and fighting all the monsters and stuff. Like the Spider Woman, I think, and
Oh god.
like the statue that comes to life and those fart monsters.
Oh my god.
So yeah, that was all filmed for Twisted Souls. And then I think the producer, somebody like the studio, I guess, they wanted something else. They wanted more. So they brought in this person, Jeannie Joseph.
Who names their kid Jeannie?
Yeah, I think her name's like Eugenie or I don't know. It's something.
Probably Eugenia or something.
Yeah. But they brought them on, and they basically filmed all of the kid scenes with the werecat or whatever it was.
Oh my god.
And the old man, the warlock, and his like wife.
Yeah.
They filmed all that stuff completely separate, just at the same location, and they with new actors. They didn't shoot anything with all those party going people or anything. And then they basically just fused that stuff into Spookies.
Oh shit.
Yeah. They took the scenes from Twisted Souls and the scenes from that, and somehow they made like a kind of coherent movie. Like it was still pretty confusing, but
so initially it was just gonna be a bunch of people fighting off like these monsters, and then later the whole princess to the warlock and her running away and all that stuff was added later.
Apparently. Yeah, and then they just melded that stuff together and made Spookies.
Holy shit.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy. So it's interesting knowing that and like examining the movie again, because yeah, there's really never any actual like interaction really with the old man and the wife and all of those other people.
Yeah.
You know? Like if you just watch the movie not knowing anything about it, it doesn't seem that weird, even though I was still kind of like, what the fuck's going on?
What about the cat guy? They probably
the cat guy was part of the old man and all that stuff. I don't think he was in any of the scenes with the other people.
So when he buried the kid, that was added later on.
Exactly.
Damn.
Yeah. So, you know, I guess they had to do that stuff because they saw what footage they had and they just did something to make it kind of make sense. And that's why they used the whole shtick of like, I need all these people so that you can be young and beautiful again or whatever, you know, with the bride.
It's pretty badass.
So, I mean, good on Jeannie Joseph for making what was just like a typical monster movie, kind of a cool, I don't know, like sorcery horror movie with monsters and stuff like that. So I like the concept, you know, it was pretty good.
I did too. It was like kind of like Night of the Demons / Demon Knight / Evil Dead / Return of the Living Dead. Because we had demons, and let me say the makeup effects in this movie were kick ass. For like even for 1986, like it was all badass practical effects. The demons looked scary, and then at the end, for some reason, instead of like demonic creatures and stuff, we just had a whole bunch of zombies.
Yeah, because apparently it was something like I guess the warlock conjured them up to
get her back
or something like that. Yeah, that was kind of weird. But I mean, we really never had much explanation for how any of the other things came to be either. It was just kind of these random monsters popped up.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked it, even though I wasn't sure what was happening.
This is definitely going to be one of my 30 movies to watch during like the month of October. Because like, it's just your stereotypical ghouls and monsters movie. Like if you're ever looking for a movie, hey, I just want ghouls and monsters all the time. Like this is one of the movies. It takes off right at the beginning with like the eerie feel and like the creatures lurking in the dark. And then boom, it just goes crazy. And just drops a bomb on you. And you're like, whoa, this is not going to stop anytime soon.
No, yeah, the pacing wasn't bad at all. I guess because they had all those monster scenes.
Yeah.
They could like kind of cut and pick and choose what they wanted to put in. But yeah, the pacing actually held up pretty well. So I was never bored of it. You know, it basically went from like one thing to the next. You know, at one moment there were fart monsters. And then the next moment it was like, this pretty attractive woman was turning into a Spider Woman, and yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Remember that one hairy Italian dude that he was like the best? He was my favorite.
Yeah, he was really hairy.
Oh, he was very hairy. You seen his ass crack at one point, and it looked like he had a dog in his pants.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, not really any of the performances stood out that much. Felix Ward as Creon, the warlock. he was okay, I guess, just because he played that, I don't know, weird, erratic, psycho, like fucking
mastermind slash scientist slash demonic warlock.
Yeah. It was alright.
One thing that had me like weirded out though was like the ending, because I felt this movie ended too abruptly. He pops out of the grave and he's like, "Ah ha 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 ha," and then the movie ends.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I think at that point they just didn't really know how to finish it.
This movie was just thriller meets Night of the Demons, basically.
Kind of. I mean, I will say that I liked the variety of all the monsters.
I did too. That's what made it like super watchable for me. I just thought it was an extremely badass film, and like we like these isolated films that happen all in like one night. And this was one of them. Just like Night of the Demons, just like Evil Dead, just like Tales from the Crypt Demon Night, and that's what we got with this.
Yeah. So I mean, this one is a pretty underground cult classic, but I feel like it's a gem. I mean, realistically, it's not executed that well. I mean, obviously the stories are disjointed because they're two separate stories.
Oh yeah.
The actual camera work kind of sucks. Visually it's not that great, but it's just like a super fun ride filled with cool practical effects and monsters and everything like that, so
yeah, I feel like you need to check this one out. Go to creaturefeaturesvideos.com. Go grab a copy of Spookies.
Yeah, it's actually, I mean, they have it, but for the most part it's kind of rare.
Yeah, it's super rare.
I mean, I had neither of us had any idea that it existed.
No.
And I feel like a lot of people probably don't. So that is one aspect that makes it like a cult classic for sure.
Yeah.
Just because like you can't really find it anywhere.
Besides Wiki.
Yeah, but there are those people, who you are, that know about this movie. And those are the people that have 1,100 movies in their collection or whatever.
Even more.
Yeah, that's Spookies for you guys, or Twisted Souls, or
check it out.
Definitely check it out and let us know what you think about it. But right now we're going to move on to a more modern film that is an adaptation of a 1989 classic, and we're going to be talking about Pet Sematary. But first, we do have to give quick shout outs to some other SRD shows.
All right, Fred, so the people at Sports Radio Detroit want us to cut a promo for Parsons and Slow.
I want them to cut me a check for Parsons and Slow.
Well, I've Googled some keywords, and I'm going to put them here in a promo. So here it goes. Ready, Fred?
Yeah, analytics away.
Parsons and Slow. We have the content consumers crave. Listen to us on iTunes, Spotify, anywhere else that podcasts are available, or we'll kill you. We won't really kill you. Just listen to our podcast, brand new, every Friday on Sports Radio Detroit.
Okay, I'm ready to do the promo.
Oh, that was it.
Because I feel like a salad tossing might feel good.
What? Out of Bounds Detroit podcast. Tuesday morning and Friday mornings here on sportsradiodetroit.com.
Welcome back, boils and ghouls. As mentioned in this week's episode, we're going to be discussing our review of the new Pet Sematary. So this one is directed by Kevin Kölsch and Dennis Widmyer, and it's Paramount Pictures, Bonaventura Pictures, Alphaville Films collaboration. And the last time we saw Pet Sematary was actually Pet Sematary 2, which I don't remember when that movie came out.
90s.
So it's been, at least about almost 2 decades or probably something like that since we've seen Pet Sematary. So in studio terms, that's due for a remake.
Oh, yeah.
So we've been getting a lot of them, but this one coming out, and the original Pet Sematary is a pretty beloved movie. I feel like it's still kind of underlooked when you're normally talking about, old school, like 80s horror movies.
Yeah.
But, it's got a loyal fan base, so naturally a lot of people were upset with even the announcing of the movie. And, I had my doubts as well. But they put it out there, and I don't know. What do you think, Samuel?
I think I'm going to let people know what I think of it right off the bat. I'm not going to give any spoilers because there was something different about this movie. There was a twist. Something happens that you don't expect to happen that happened in the original, and you're just like, what the fuck? Like, it's kind of ruined by the trailer, but I would say that this outdid the original. I watched the original back in January, I believe, or December. And, it's one of those movies that did not really withstand the test of time.
Yeah.
That's why I go read the damn book. I felt the cinematography in this one was fucking badass. The setting was better. It felt more dark. Way better acting, especially Jason Clarke playing Lewis. That was a perfect choice for Lewis. If I was going to cast anyone as Lewis, I would have probably picked Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
But Jason Clarke is still badass. I loved him in Lawless, and I love him in everything that he fucking plays. The movie was scary, actually. It wasn't like a jump scare movie. It was more like a atmosphere / hey, this is kind of about grief and guilt and PTSD type of movie, like Hereditary, same realm of stuff. We had the main character with same backstory, her sister Zelda, and
Kind of the same backstory.
sort of, except Zelda, not gonna spoil it. I think that was another part that like they they just shouldn't have ever added into it, because what the hell, what's her name, Rachel? Yeah, why bring up her past with her creepy sister? Maybe just to add more creepy looking things to the movie.
Yeah, well, I guess if you really want to like examine it, her grief over her sister, and probably her guilt over her dying and everything when she was taking care of her when she was a kid, kind of persisted into her current life. And when church dies and they have to get into talking about death with their kids, for her it's just it's something that she doesn't even want to talk about. She doesn't even want to mention it. She doesn't like talking about death. So it kind of helps, I guess, to drive the themes of the movie. And then it persists in the movie because, I don't know, I feel like it's supposed to serve as like an excuse for her sudden behavior, and that change to like go back at the end of the movie all of a sudden, randomly, and like go try to figure out what's going on at home, something like that. So, I mean, in the original film, it's super effective, yeah, because Zelda is nightmare fuel,
She is, yeah, in the original and in this one. I think this one, like, a little bit more, because, like, the original one, sure, she was, like, she looked sick. She didn't look scary. In this one, she was, like, she was, like...
Well, the original was so effective, I think, because they actually got a male actor to portray Zelda and just dressed him up, as this pretty regular girl, except she's got whatever it is, scoliosis or something, yeah. And they just made him look creepy as hell. But they modernized the new one. It still looks pretty good. They got an actress to play Zelda, but I don't know, that doesn't really make her any less effective. I kind of felt like the original may have outdone it personally, but
I feel you. But
that's one of the only like few things that the original, in my opinion, has over this film.
Yeah, because this one was... I can't say it enough. This was a really good fucking movie. And all the people complaining about it, you'll see on stupid people in these groups, the new one was so bad.
Yeah.
Okay, why? Can you tell us about any of the technical aspects that had any flaws? No, it's stupid. Like, okay, if you're one of those, like, you can't even fucking like converse like a normal human being.
Criticism at all.
Yeah, like, you're not only that, like, these people don't even know how to talk to people, much less judge a movie. Like,
yeah, I mean, I have heard some criticisms that I feel like, depending on your perspective, could be valid. Some people felt that the pacing was a little bit off. Some people felt that some of the script was not very refined.
Really,
possibly.
go back to the original, read that fucking script.
Yeah,
we just saw it with, what you do, go on YouTube, type in Cinema Sins Pet Sematary and watch the original. Watch all the stupid, dumb, drawn out, badly paced scenes, like walking to the pet cemetery with Victor, the dead kid, how long that took, or the like really bad continuity in like the shots. Like, they had a shot of Pet Cemetery that happened way after the cat got buried, and then like a couple scenes later it shows the shot of the cemetery, and then like Jud and fucking Lewis are standing in the corner with the cat. Like, it's like, what? Like, so people are fucking stupid, all right? If you noticed, if you nitpicked all these little things out of the remake, and it's not even nitpicking, like, that's just an opinion. Oh, the script is bad. Did you watch the original?
Mm-hmm.
They did not use anything bigger than a 5th grade vocabulary
Yeah.
in that fucking movie.
And it's worth noting, too, that the original movie actually left out a lot of key elements from the source material.
That's what a lot of people said, yeah.
And the new film actually added quite a few of those things into it and made what was happening in the film kind of make a lot more sense if you just kind of think about it in the back of your mind. Because the original movie, it didn't offer any of that. So not only was the pacing weird because they didn't have all that other stuff to kind of explain really what was happening, you know, it just had to fill time, basically. And the new movie kind of introduced some more of those things. You know, we know that there's something going on in this town, and we learn that there is indeed something bigger happening, you know, to the Creed family and the surrounding area.
Oh, yeah.
And that makes it make a lot more sense. And I never really felt like it was dragging out too much.
I didn't feel that at all during the movie.
I mean, I guess, you know, some parts during the beginning, maybe. But it was an hour and 40 minutes. And for me, it felt like an hour and 40-minute long movie.
Yeah, like I didn't feel like any of the scenes were like really drawn out that much. I didn't feel like the movie was long. For me, it felt like relatively the same length as watching like the first Halloween. Because even that movie arguably had some moments that just dragged on. So if people want to nitpick at stuff at the remake and not talk about all this stupid, just really stupid bullshit, I can't. I'm so irritated with like how people like just don't see it. I can't even like form a coherent sentence. Like, bro, in the first one when Gage was getting like set on fire, you saw it. They used it was clear as day. It was a doll. Or when Gage jumped at his dad, it was a doll. The cat not being scary or dead in the original.
Victor Pascal just like fading in and out in an obvious green screen.
Yeah. The weird like just nonsense in Lewis's character in the original. Like, let's be
Gage's death scene. Let me just say that. For like 15 seconds, he's just going no in slow motion.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god,
bro. Like, it was. If we want to, okay, no lens. I'm gonna take off my 80s horror lens because I'm biased sometimes. Let's look at Pet Sematary. If I'm gonna rate that movie, it's probably a 4 out of 10.
Really?
Like in terms of how good it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at no point did I feel emotion just because the guy who played Lewis was so bad at showing it. And we get it. He's on Valium most of the movie, you know?
Yeah.
Another one about the old one. We got a little bit of toxic masculinity in the old one because his wife was like, I don't want to take the Valium. You're taking the Valium. Like,
yeah.
Come on now.
No, I'm glad that none of those really outdated things are here. We actually see some rational thought in the character dialogue in the new movie. I will say that some of the performances were not that greatly written. A little bit later on in the movie with the, I guess, antagonist, I felt like sometimes it was a bit hit or miss. So, I mean, stuff like that in the script, I will agree, could maybe have been a little bit better. But the new movie, with everything it added in, for me, it just made a lot more sense. Tonally, it was way different than the 89
Dude, this
movie.
one felt like, I think it was just because of the setting, like all those trees and you couldn't really see the sky, or like there wasn't like an open road, so it just looked like this isolated little town, which is what the Stephen King universe is supposed to feel like. If you've watched Castle Rock, like this has the same feel as Castle Rock.
Dude, let me just say one thing, okay? One person's criticism that I saw was that this movie had zero atmosphere. And I was like, dude, did you hit yourself in the face with a brick before you typed that sentence? Because you have to be like mentally challenged.
Yeah,
because that was literally all this movie was.
I know this isn't PC, and I'm usually PC, but this is the point where I ask, are you retarded, bro?
Yeah.
Like, not like I'm making fun of you. I'm like, do you suffer from a mental retardation?
Yeah, no, this movie, they had fog. They had, so anytime you have like fog on the ground of a horror movie, that's atmosphere. It just doesn't make any sense.
Dude,
to me.
even
zero atmosphere.
It even had what I love about all these modern like horror movies and genre films, that foreboding. Ooh, that's what makes it atmospheric. That that little frequency that just makes you feel like
No, it was
like
definitely there in the background.
It just had this supernatural feel to it. Like you could cut the tension in this movie with a knife. I don't know, dude. They had some moments when they were Pet Sematary. They wouldn't even show the clouds or the sky or anything. You're just in this dark forest. You're like, where are the clouds? Like,
yeah, exactly.
you can't just look up and see them like in real life. You just see what this movie wants you to, and that is the physical manifestation of like depression. That's what this movie seemed like. It was a very dark movie. I don't understand.
It was.
Sure,
it played on those themes pretty well.
I mean, dude, especially like that Pascal kid dying scene in this one. Yeah. That shit was fucking brutal.
And did you notice that? Because I think in the original, it didn't happen while they were there. I think it happened before the move. Am I right on that? That happened before they moved up there.
Wasn't that like the reason they moved up there?
Yeah, but in the remake, it actually happens
right after
they
exactly.
Moved.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting kind of shift, and I feel like they did that just to portray like, oh, here's this happy family moving up here, and boom, now they're all depressed.
Yeah,
basically, because this shit happened, and then the cat dies and comes back, and yeah. But I mean, going back to the dark thing, I loved how they changed up the Pet Sematary, and after the Pet Sematary, the Micmac burial grounds, it was way better. It was like this dark, creepy swamp. I was like kind of, anxious for them, going there. And
hell yeah,
the end was cool. I mean, the original, it was just this giant stone thing. And I guess that would be a little bit more realistic and creepy if you found that in real life. But
there's no way no one found that.
It didn't look that good in the movie.
It didn't.
And it's even weirder because if I saw something like that, I'd be like, yo, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah.
And Lewis was just like, all right, I guess I'm just going to bury my cat in this weird, gigantic stone circle. So, I mean, yeah, there were definitely inconsistencies in the original. Tonally, it just didn't feel representative of the themes it was going after.
Exactly.
Really that much at all. I mean, I do like the original movie. Like, I'm not trying to shit on it too much, but for what the story was and what it was like trying to say and be, especially being a Stephen King
movie. It wasn't
movie.
dark enough.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that was just not the right tone, not the right color palette.
It's definitely not the right color. It was, dude, it was sure, like people could be like, well, the movie it wasn't super atmospheric. Sometimes it was just a normal shot of like the daytime, and it gives you hope before ultimately leading you to an untimely death. It's like, no, because if you're going to talk about mental health and grief and PTSD, you want a dark atmosphere to relay those messages so that you can feel how she feels, because you feel as if you're in the same environment as her. Like, not just emotional environment because you're seeing what she's seeing, but even the physical environment. They lived in a dark, isolated place in like this little town in Maine. Like, that's in the same universe as Castle Rock and Stephen King's It. So this had the same dark atmosphere as Castle Rock, except this one was a little bit more like, seemed darker than Castle Rock, probably because all the trees and shit. Like I said, you couldn't see the sky much. You couldn't really make out like, is it dark today? You're just like, no, every day's dark here. Like,
I completely agree with that. Yeah, I like what they did with the remake in those aspects. One other thing I'll say that I enjoyed was just the rest of the family. I mean, apart from Gage, who was obviously iconic in it, Amy Seimetz actually did, in my opinion, a good job as Rachel Creed.
Yeah.
The original,
honestly, better than the original.
So forgettable.
Yeah.
This one, I felt she did a much better job portraying the character and her grief and kind of helping push the story along, And then just a couple hot takes. So there are a bunch of Stephen King Easter eggs. Those are pretty cool to spot if you're a Stephen King fan. And then the only other things I'll say that I guess I wasn't too much of a fan of in comparison to the original were Zelda and Victor Pascal. I mean, looking back at it, I kind of prefer their portrayal in the original, but that would really be the only thing, in my opinion. I like this movie a lot. I'd definitely give it a passing grade.
Yeah, it gets a passing grade, and I'm pre-ordering it from Amazon because they have it up for pre-order right now, and I'm definitely getting this one. And I don't care if I get shit. This is objectively, in technical aspects and what they were trying to accomplish, this was a much better movie than the original, period.
let us know what you guys think about Pet Sematary. We both enjoyed it. I also kind of want to know people's thoughts about the ending, because that was another kind of controversial thing. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything about it.
I'm glad it ended the way it did.
Yeah.
It was effective because people are like, why would you do that? Why'd you do? Yeah, good, because that's fucking terrifying if you actually imagine what's going to happen next.
I liked it too. So, I mean, let us know what you think about it. But we are going to move on now to our very last segment, and we're going to examine a new movie on Hulu in this week's Chopping Block. And in this week's Shopping Block, we have the new Into the Dark installment on Hulu.
Yes.
I'm Just Fucking With You.
Are you?
Oh, of course I am.
Okay.
Or in his accent, of course I am, usually. So, the newest Into the Dark movie deals with this seemingly regular guy pulling up to this motel in the middle of the night. And you learn that he's going to a wedding, and
that he wasn't like invited to or something.
Yeah, and you find out really quickly that he's kind of like an internet troll.
Oh yeah, he's that one account that just talks mad shit to people.
Yeah,
it's completely different from the last episode, Treehouse, which at first you assume the dude's an alright dude, and then find out he's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
this one right off the back, we know he's a piece of shit.
Exactly. So we know that. None of the other characters really know that, but he gets to this motel and he encounters these two guys, and specifically who he thinks is like the owner, or who's running the motel. And his name is Chester, portrayed by Hayes MacArthur. And Chester is kind of a goofball. He likes pulling jokes on people. Yeah, you learn this very quickly.
He's a badass. I'll say that.
Yeah, so he just kind of keeps yanking the chain of our protagonist, Larry, portrayed by Keira O'Donnell. And he's really only one of the three main people in this movie, along with Chester. And then Rachel Adams, portrayed by Jessie McNamee. And essentially the rest of the movie is just Larry and Chester's kind of interactions as Chester keeps pulling these more
elaborate
or
serious
pranks on him. Yeah. So the movie kind of progresses into, gradually more kind of fucked up territory. Honestly, I thought it was going to be more messed up than it kind of ended up being. It kind of played more as like a, I don't know, typical kind of like Rest Stop almost, sort of slasher kind of.
Except didn't have any like supernatural elements really. Because Rest Stop, it was like, it hinted a lot that there was like a hint of supernatural, especially with like the disappearing body of the police officer and stuff like that.
But it's one of those guy in the middle of nowhere pulls up to some random out of the way thing,
and he's a fucking crazy fuck.
Yeah, he encounters this fucking crazy guy. The thing that I wasn't too thrilled about though was the fact that like this seemed like a kind of normal motel setting. And for pretty much the entire movie, all this crazy shit is going on, and like literally almost nobody else comes to this place at all. And it doesn't look like it's too far off from regular society. So
it looked like if this wasn't a movie and they weren't filming there, and they're like, all right, no one come in here, we're filming, that a lot of people would have went in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So, that part kind of threw me off a little bit. But apart from those kind of things, it was a pretty decent little flick. I mean, it definitely played to the gimmick of April Fools a lot, which is what Into the Dark
over
does.
and over and over.
Yeah, it was very persistent. At one point, it's like,
where he like,
okay, we get it, kind of.
That point where I knew some shit was like, some crazy shit was going on, and there's always a turning point like this. For me, the turning point was when he like fake punched himself.
Yeah,
I was like, oh shit, this guy's fucking nuts. Like, because normal people don't pretend that someone assaulted them. Like, you have to have something wrong with you if you do that.
Yeah. That was kind of interesting, but I have seen horror characters like that before. It's not the most innovative thing I've ever seen with a character specifically. I was actually kind of more intrigued by the protagonist Larry's kind of evolution almost, as he like interacts with Chester more and more, because I wasn't completely sure where it was going toward the end of the movie. Because Chester, he just wants to keep fucking with him.
Yeah.
So he never really does much to him apart from
making
freaking him out and
making him witness some crazy shit.
Yeah, or like just trying to, I guess, I don't know, just change his mind and like make him see eye to eye with him, kind of.
Yeah.
So the character arcs are like pretty interesting. So I kind of like how they're written, but there's other things in the script that don't make a ton of sense to me. It's just little things, like the little things that you would kind of nitpick about, for me, just stand out more in this movie because it's meant to be this like really isolated movie, and it's supposed to kind of take you for a mind trip.
But it kind of keeps reiterating the same shit.
Yeah.
I felt like that's what it was doing.
Yeah. And it bathed all of it in cool like neon lights and everything, you know, with the drinks, and Chester is always going around in like a tracksuit or like shorts or whatever the fuck. I mean, he was a cool character. I agree with that. But
this goes to show, man, you can't trust people like me with curly hair and glasses. You just can't do it, because our jokes are on another level.
It's a good thing that you don't have like a southern accent, or I'd be like a little worried.
Yeah, I'd be a little worried too.
Yeah, I don't know why he had that accent, but overall, I would say I like the performances in this movie, especially from Hayes MacArthur.
Oh yeah, fuck yeah, I want to see him as an antagonist again, dude. He could be like the fucking Riddler, bro.
Something, yeah.
Like, he needs to be an antagonist in another movie, because like
I agree.
I feel like they didn't like show him, like they showed him enough in this, you know what I mean? But they didn't show him enough. Like I want to see him do other shit.
Yeah, I don't. Here's the thing. I think they had a really cool idea with this character. I don't know if they made him fucked up enough. You know, like I think they could have gone farther with his character.
Yeah, he was like
made it more interesting.
He was like a regular like psychopath. You know, he would just kill people here and there.
So that's the thing. I think they could have done more with that. It felt like a pretty tame movie to me, honestly. You know, especially with the whole premise, because for me, I kind of want to compare this movie to like Cheap Thrills. I don't know if you've seen that, but
I don't think so.
It's a very similar in premise. Like I think it's this couple goes out somewhere and they encounter this guy, or maybe a group of guys. I'm forgetting a little bit, but the premise basically holds up the same, except this guy offers them money to keep doing crazier and crazier stuff.
Yeah,
so it's more of like a dare thing.
Yeah, this one was more like, yeah, you have no choice. I'm good. Like, I'm pranking you to death.
But for me, it felt kind of similar in those respects. But that movie definitely turned it up a notch. This movie, I feel like
it was tame.
Didn't do too much. Yeah, but you know, it kind of had that realistic factor, I guess, more so because it didn't just go completely off the fucking walls.
Yeah, it wasn't bonkers or anything.
Yeah,
it was a pretty like. It was mellow, I want to say.
Yeah, but I still feel like it tried to make itself seem like way crazier and more psychological than it actually was.
Mostly because of the protagonist's reaction to the things that were happening and his mental state by the end of it. I felt like it was like... I mean, someone would be like that, you know, if all that shit happened. But like, I don't know, man. I just felt like it wasn't crazy enough for like... how he reacted to it.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I agree completely. But all the good things that we have talked about with it, I do kind of feel like make this one of the better Into the Dark installments, personally.
I think so, yeah. This and I liked Puka too.
Yeah, I still gotta watch that.
Flesh and Blood was really good.
Okay, I have heard good things about that one.
I haven't seen The Body still.
Yeah, me neither. But I also see a lot of other people saying that I'm Just Fucking With You is also probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
I like the art direction that they took in this movie. I felt like the script was considerably better than a lot of the other installments, and I just think it was probably a little bit more entertaining. So I would say this one isn't chopped for me. I think you should check it out.
I think so too. Yeah, not chopped for me either.
It's got some good twists. It's one of those kind of cool movies. I would almost relate the what's happening as the story's being carried forward, kind of like almost to Your Next, maybe. I feel like, you know, Your Next had some pretty good twists, and this had some pretty good twists in it along the way. So, yeah, I think you should check it out if you got nothing else to watch.
Oh, yeah, it's better than Mercy Black, I'll say that.
So, that's what we think about I'm Just Fucking With You. If you guys do check it out, let us know what you think. And you can contact us on all our social media platforms. We have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we also have a website, gravediscussions.net. So that's going to wrap it up for episode 56, Fiends. We'll see you next week
on Grave Discussion.
This has been an SRD production.